Hello everybody. So this video I would like to set the intent to share with you why I am speaking on this. Now the purpose of this video is, first of all, to validate whoever having experiences with, like, terrifying experiences with narcissism and avoidant attachment style, as in you have these experiences with individuals embodying narcissism and avoidant attachment style. Okay, this is a video first to validate your experiences, which could be very, very traumatizing. And the second thing of this video, second intent of this video, is to shed light on the one reason for you to understand why you feel so traumatized. And it is through this understanding of the one reason that hopefully you could break free from such a pattern, okay? Because it's always about realizing within oneself, and that's what I went through as well. Now the third intent of the video is to shed light on how we can actively reconstruct and also notice certain cues on such a pattern. You know, if we have been in situations that are, or in relationships that involve a lot of narcissism or avoidant attachment style or anxious attachment style, this is a pattern. So by looking into this pattern, like, as first we have to see the pattern, right? So that would be part 2. Part 3 would be, now I see it, and what can I learn from it, and how can I actively reconstruct the pattern within myself, okay? So the first part would be, I would like to first validate you that your experience with narcissistic individuals or avoidant individuals are very traumatizing. Okay, it is very, very traumatizing, confusing, and it involves a lot of actual, like, emotional abuse, mental abuse, in the most subtle way, in which you can't even verbalize it or express it to the point, because it's very subtle. It's something it's all in the interaction in itself, and even in silence. So that's why it's very hard for you to verbalize it, but you feel the pain and the hurt and the harm done to you, to your heart, to your psyche, that you feel very threatened, and you feel very triggered whenever similar episodes, okay, show up, and then you would kind of relive that particular episode again in the current reality, is because of that trigger, okay? So, and I totally understand you, because I also went through, since childhood, from my family background, okay? So whatever I'm speaking on here in the following, and even now, is all from my own personal experiences, and also observations, and observations, external observations as well as internal observations, okay? So I totally feel you and I understand, okay? And I want to validate you. And the reason I'm strengthening on validating you here leads us into the second part of the video, which is the one reason for you to break free from this pattern of attracting in or being with narcissistic individuals or avoidant attachment style individuals, okay? Now, the one reason, Because why do I call it the one reason? Because a lot of the time it's because we really just need one reason to leave a situation. Like the reason is strong enough for me to actually just take action and to leave. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you sometimes you just need one reason to stay for a person. But there are also other situations where you actually just need one reason to leave. And you haven't found it yet. And I hope this is the reason for you to realize that within yourself that this is for your highest good. To take the decision for your own well-being. Okay, now this one reason, I would also call it the Achilles heels of narcissism. It's like, once we see it, that's how we shatter or disintegrate this kind of narcissistic illusion in our lives, in our realities, okay? Even for those who embody narcissism in oneself, okay? Now, what is this one reason, or so-called Achilles heels? Is actually external validations. That is why I strengthened so much on validating you just now in part 1, because external validation is the exact Achilles heels when it comes to the interaction with narcissistic individuals, as well as how the responses coming from narcissistic individuals. Now I'm going to talk on why external validations. A lot of the time that we receive, from the internet, or like a lot of spiritual teaching, is that don't seek for external validations, right? Seek from within. Yes, I also went through that stage that I'm going to seek from within, and I'm not going to seek for any external validations because these are not helpful, these are not healthy. I am in my own soul sovereignty. I am an independent individual, and I don't need any of these external validations in order to validate my existence, or whatever it is about my personality or my being. Okay, now I see this. I also went through this stage, and what I came to realize is that yes, that was a necessary stage. In fact, that was a necessary stage, or say that is, okay, because that was a necessary stage for me, and whoever is watching this video, it could be what you are experiencing right now, and I want to validate you. Yes, that is a necessary stage where learn to seek from within, because through learning to seek from within, we develop a much stronger and stable sense of internal security. And also, we seek for guidance from inner knowing. That is very important, okay? Now, however, we actually need a balance. This is what I came to realize later. We need a balance between seeking from within as well as seeking from the external. But if we abandon that seeking from the external, we actually in the extreme. Okay, because we are living in duality. Okay, so in order to have balance, that is the key to move forward in a very healthy and stable way. And so what does it mean? We do need seeking from within as well as seeking from external. Now, what is seeking from external is you seek for external validations. What is this validation? Sometimes we would see it like, no, don't seek for external validations because that doesn't represent what I am. Well, yes, that holds truth. It's true that we also can choose to embody that very understanding that I'm not the comment, I'm not any of this. However, I can learn from these comments or external validations about myself, so to reinforce my journey ahead. So to understand how I'm doing, so to understand what I can work on. That is the importance of external validations, is affirmation for actions. Okay, whatever I take out actions, the external validations actually is a reaction, action reaction. Okay, like if I'm talking to you like this, right? And if you leave a comment below or you give me a thumbs up on the video, that is an external validation. What does it mean? It is feedback. We all need feedback loop to grow. If we don't have feedbacks, that's the key word, feedbacks. If we don't have feedbacks, we don't know which direction to grow into. Because it is only through feedback loops we can learn about ourselves. We gather data. We receive the reaction from us responding to our actions. So then we learn. If we put it into a scientific perspective, it's just as how AI is, artificial intelligence, like OpenAI say, okay? It's just machine learning. How does AI learn? Trial and error. They gather all the data, they test, they run the test, right? They run the test. That's how they learn so fast. And for humans, we are the same. If we don't have feedback loops, if we don't receive feedbacks, aka external validations, we would not be able to grow in a very, grow into our potentials, I would even say that. So this is the one reason the Achilles heel to narcissism. Why? Because when it comes to narcissism, as well as usually it involves avoidant attachment style as well. Usually it could, okay, it doesn't have to be, but sometimes it does. What happens is that when individuals who are narcissistic, how do they operate when it comes to external validations? They tend not to give external validations nor receive external validations. Okay, they are closed. They close off. Okay, so what does it mean? Now imagine when you're interacting with a person, this person does not receive any feedback, meaning external validation, right? Excuse me for the noise in the background. The blender went rooming on, so I just stopped it. Now I'm gonna resume. So imagine that if that you meet a person, okay, or you're with a person. Now this person doesn't give feedbacks nor receive feedbacks, okay, aka external validations, okay. So they neither do they give external validations to other people, nor would they receive external validations from other people. What would this situation become? Is that for those who are with these people who are narcissistic, okay, or say they don't receive any kind of, this situation, for those around this kind of person, they don't receive the necessary feedbacks in order to understand oneself. What would then lead into? This would then turn into a situation where confusion would happen. Okay, what are certain scenarios? Certain scenarios would be very little communication between, say, the narcissistic individuals and the people around them. If you have similar experiences, that's why. You would have very little communication with them, as in emotionally or validation-wise. You would not receive any, very, very rare to receive any compliments from them, any kind of validations on how well you do, or any constructive suggestion delivered in a very genuine way. Okay, usually it would be very self-centered. Like usually it would be delivered in a very subjective, very self-centered way, and not involving any kind of it would be very scientific. Okay, it's very, very, there's no intimacy involved. Okay, However, I mean, this could happen in workplace, so it doesn't have to involve intimacy. However, okay, there are different scenarios, different contexts. But the gist of the interaction with narcissistic individuals would be, you don't receive the necessary feedbacks for you to locate where you are at, because they don't give feedbacks. Now, I'm not going to talk about why they don't give, because that would go into a very long discussion. For this video, I just want to validate what it is for you, for every one of us. And now, at the same time, not to blame the narcissistic individuals though, but the experiences, the interaction with them are very horrible. That is very true. Okay, I totally validate that for myself as well as for you. It's very horrible experiences. Because see, why is it so horrible? It's because you don't receive the feedbacks. When we don't receive feedbacks from our actions, that would cause us to become confused. And when we are confused, what does it mean? When we're confused, it means that we don't know which direction we can go into. So we then become like this. Okay? That would cause us over time to have lower and lower self-worth. Why? Because when we're not focused on something, we don't understand our actions. We don't receive the necessary feedback for our actions that we put out. This is how we learn as a person. If we don't understand it, we don't receive this information, this data to reinforce our actions, we get confused. And when we get confused, we lose our sense of identity over time. If it's a very long time, okay? Such as in a relationship. It then causes us to have lower and lower self-worth over time because of the losing of the sense of identity, because of not receiving the necessary feedback to reinforce that. Does it make sense? It's a chain effect. Now, when we are confused, and then that leads to lower and lower sense of identity, like losing the sense of weaker sense of identity, and then lower self-worth as a result to that. And from then on, because of the lower self-worth, you would then become very disoriented. And what does it mean? Confusion. You would become very confused. So you see the 4 steps. First thing, I'm going to recap. First one is because you're not receiving the necessary feedback for your own growth. Okay, for you to self-assess my own actions. Okay, you don't have the necessary feedback. Now, second, from this one to this one, because you don't receive the necessary feedback for your own assessment, you then over time would lose your own sense of self or sense of identity in this particular situation. You don't know what to do because you do not receive the necessary feedback to reinforce your actions. Okay, now you have such a weaker sense of identity now. Now, as time goes on, okay, you now have a weaker sense of identity, and now keep going. If we're still in this kind of relationship, keep going, okay? Now, gradually, because of your weaker sense of identity, you would then having a lower and lower self-worth because you don't know how to take action. What would it become? You will start to guess. You will start to guess a lot what that person wants, and then I just try to fulfill it. I will try to guess what this person needs. I will try to make him or her happy, because there's no actual solid communication here between you and that individual. You would then become you would lower yourself in order to fulfill that, and that would turn into anxious attachment style if you happen to experience that. And that person who you're trying to fulfill the expectations would be the avoidant attachment style. They would keep avoiding. They would not communicate because they tend not to give validations. They don't give affirmations or say feedbacks. They closed off. Okay, so you would not receive the necessary feedback you need in order to reinforce your own actions. And so now you then have this lower self-worth, right? And because of the lower self-worth, you get, over time, you just become more and more disoriented, and that's the entire confusion state. Okay, and you just don't know where to grow into because of the much weaker sense of identity. So you see that this is for the people around, with individuals with narcissism or avoidant attachment style. This is the people around, because they don't give the feedback. Okay, they don't give the feedback, nor they receive. They don't receive because they cut off the communication. They cut off the communication. They would usually, now I'm going to talk about how certain cutting of the communication could manifest in some of the communications, how they cut them off. It doesn't mean that they go completely silent. Sometimes, yes, that would be called ghosting, right? They ghost you, or they literally just stonewall. They literally just stonewall you, right? No communication. Okay, but I mean, that's something that they have to work on. These people, there's something that they have to regulate within themselves. However, it doesn't mean that you have to stay in this kind of situation. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in this relationship, because you see, for that one reason, you already see the chain effect. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, it doesn't mean that this person is a bad person, though. It's simply that this dynamics doesn't work at all. With no feedback system, with no feedback loop, for you would be the one who keeps giving a lot of feedback to that person. Possibly, if you're watching this video, possibly, if you happen to have experienced anxious attachment style, or you are a person that is more of like the anxious type, okay, when it comes to a relationship, you would be possibly the one who keeps giving feedbacks. You would be the one who keeps telling this person, the other person, that, hey, how do I feel? Hey, da-da-da-da. And then over time, you feel so numbed. You've tried, but this person is not responding. So close the unresponsive chat for yourself. If there's an unresponsive chat on your computer, what would you do? You force quit it. That's the same for relationships. You're not going to spend any more time and energy for that particular unresponsive tab in the browser on a computer, right? That's the same for relationship. You see the chain effect. It is not actually going to go anywhere. The communication could come in as ghosting. That the cut off of the communication could be coming as ghosting, stonewalling, gaslighting, and manipulation, whatever it is, okay? Whatever it is, but also sometimes in the form of very, very non-emotional response, such as if you happen to want to share something that you are proud of, that say you bake a cake, okay, or you cook something, or you performed very well on stage because you're a performer, say something like this, just hypothetically. You want to share this joy with the person, okay? This person might not, usually they would not resonate with, or they would not, reciprocate whatever you try to share with them. This is one form of not being able to give feedbacks, okay, to you. What would they say usually? They could possibly just have one word and then just end the conversation there. Nice. That's nice. And that's it. Okay? It could be like just, oh, good. You see this? They are not responding to you. They did not say something, wow, well done. Or like, wow, that's so nice. I'm so happy for you. What they say would be, oh, that's nice. Good. It's not communicating with you. There's no emotional intimacy developing here. They are simply stating how they see it. They're not stating something that how they feel about it. About you. They might state something that they feel, but not about you. This is the disconnection coming in. One form of it, okay? So it's just another example that I would like to bring up so to validate certain individuals if you happen to have such experiences. Now, that's what it is. The one reason is the external validations. Okay? Is that they would not give you any feedbacks, nor they would receive any feedback. So they would just ghost or stonewall. They would not receive. So with no feedback loop for you, you would get confused. You would get very confused and you would try to understand, but here's what you actually need to understand. That's the chain effect. That's the situation. Okay? It's not going to go anywhere. So it's not going to help your growth. It's not going to help your well-being. It's not healthy. Like the dynamics, the interaction is not healthy. And that's because of no feedbacks, no feedback loop, or AKA external validations. Healthy external validations, okay? And that's the balance between seeking from within and seeking from the external. It's very necessary to seek for positive, external validations as well. Not just like whoever external validations, I'm just come. No, we also have to be savvy when it comes to choosing which kind of advices, suggestions, external validations that we're receiving. Okay, be conscious with that. Now, let's go into the third part of it. The third part is for oneself, right? Now, what I realized within myself is that I used to be very, very sensitive to criticism. Okay, as a person, yes, I was very sensitive to criticism. Now, what would that do to me personally? Is that I am actually rejecting to receive feedbacks from people. However, there are both sides, right? Say, if a person is actually giving genuine feedback to me, okay, and I am rejecting it because I'm very sensitive, I react very adversely, like emotionally, negatively to criticisms, that means I'm rejecting feedbacks. I'm rejecting to receive feedbacks from other people. So over time, what would that turn into? People would be very cautious when they give you feedbacks, and this interaction in itself would turn into less and less genuine communication, because the other party, the other individual, would feel threatened whenever they want to say something about you, because it could turn into a fight. It could turn into a very emotional episode. So that's why people would avoid. That's also maybe one reason why people turn into avoidant, because they have been exposed to surroundings or individuals that are very sensitive to criticism. So we can see both sides of a story. It doesn't mean that avoidant people are bad people, no, or narcissistic people are bad people, no. It's just that how their experiences or background have brought them up, so to speak, in a way that they feel like giving feedbacks and receiving feedbacks could be threatened. Like they feel threatened by it, and that's why they close off. Okay, so for whoever, I mean, this is for both, whoever. If you feel that, you realize that you are very sensitive to criticism, just as I do, it's very constructive for all of us to realize that within oneself, that I'm actually safe to receive external validations, feedbacks. Okay, I'm safe to receive. Of course, I've got to be conscious with that, like, because for some people, they would project a lot of their own insecurities and trauma through validating the other person, okay, or other people. So that we have to be conscious of that, and to stay away from such mentalities, and also energies. However, what I realized within myself is that because I was so sensitive and reactive to other people's criticisms about me, I would then over time not able to receive feedbacks because I'm so closed off. Okay, so at one point I became avoidant when it comes to this aspect because I close off. I don't want to receive feedbacks, right? Okay, in a way. And actually at one point I was actually quite avoidant because I did not want to receive feedbacks, nor I want to give feedbacks to other people. So like, I was very closed off. So I understand how it felt as well. Yeah. So by expressing this and sharing this, I hope to shed some light on how we all, like, be it avoidant, anxious, whatever kind of it is, situation it is, it's very important to embrace validations, both internal and external, to reach a balance within oneself as well as with our external environment, because that actually helps us to grow in a much more well-rounded way, to which we might have not been able to experience that because of certain traumas from childhood. Okay, and that is a pattern. So I would say this is a very good start to break free, along with the one reason, okay, from part 2. For part 3 is that we can actively be conscious of when receiving external feedbacks, sit with the feedbacks and feel why I'm being triggered by these feedbacks. Because from this kind of internal churning and understanding, I would then come to realize what I need to work on. Triggering doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean that these people are bad. It could be sometimes very genuine advices, genuine comments could trigger us the most because it holds so much truth. And truth usually can be quite blunt and it hurts. So that's what it is. I think it's good to share this with everyone. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I do. It's very liberating to understand the entire chain effect for myself, and coming to reconciling, within myself, that I see both sides of the story, and how I could work on myself from this perspective. Okay, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up or share with people who you want to share with, and also leave a comment below and let me know how you feel about it. What's your experience? What's your story? Okay, and share with us here. And yeah, I wish you a lovely, lovely day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.